Hello, this is Dr. Brie-Anna Willey, and this is my channel, Business for Nerds. Why did I name this show Business for Nerds? Because I'm a nerd. I enjoy and love sci-fi, video games, reading fantasy. I also love to talk about all things business as I'm learning, and I want to grow and collaborate with other business owners. So, welcome, business nerds. I am interviewing entrepreneurs so we can mutually support each other in business. Today I'm talking with Skoob of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. He helps business owners get across the start line by overcoming the four pillars of stop. Hi, Skoob. How are things today?
Don't edit that last part out. That was great. No, it's a everything's fantastic. I'm so happy to be here, Bree. I had you on my podcast just recently, and it was an amazing conversation. I was like, let's get on her podcast and see how many more people we can help.
Awesome. I love that. I wanted to ask you first, is there anything you feel like you nerd out with?
Oh, so much that you already described at the intro of your podcast, like sci-fi. I love D&D. I was a DM for 2 years for a Mormon Scout troop. Figured that one out. And I love really bad movies. I will sit down and watch movies most people can't get through. So,
Ooh.
and I don't know why it fascinates me so much, but just like number one, because it's just like it's so bad it's good. And number two, I like being able to say I actually sat through the entire movie and say I was able to do that. So,
That's awesome. I love that. Could you give us an example?
oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so from what I'm made to understand, the worst movie ever made was called Manos: The Hands of Fate. This was a terrible movie. The acting was terrible. The soundtrack was terrible. I loved it. I own it on DVD. I have a poster of it. It's just a fantastic movie for me. The other one I really liked too was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
I'm gonna have to look these up now. I
Oh
just
yeah, yeah. If you can
cool.
get through these movies, you can get through anything.
Yeah, I bet. Going back to the introduction, so the four pillars of stop. What is that? Could you tell us about that, please?
Sure. Let me give you a little background on that. So, I'm a podcaster just like you. I've been podcasting for over 3 years, and I talk to brand new entrepreneurs that are just getting started, just getting across the start line. That's what I call that. And there were four major things that kept coming up over and over again after every interview that I had. And that's what I ended up with, the four pillars of stop. The four pillars of stop are perfectionism, imposter syndrome, failure, and it all culminates around fear. And these are all different
Mm,
types of fears. So what I do is
mm-hmm.
I talk about our experiences in these pillars and how they affected us and how we actually overcame them to be able to move on and to get across the start line into our entrepreneur adventure. So that's what the four pillars of stop are, that stop us from getting across the start line.
Okay, very cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Oh yeah. How long you got? Okay. So
However long. Tell us
okay,
all
good.
about it,
So
please.
let me give you a little background about myself. I am an extrovert. I love to talk. Blah, 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 blah. Always, if you couldn't tell that already. I was a car salesman for over 16 years. That's where I get a lot of my sales experience from, and my ability to be able to talk to other people and find out what they're looking for is through those. I'm also a 13-year server. So I've been serving in restaurants for over 13 years. Once again, kind of the same idea, being able to talk to people, understand what they want, give them suggestions and things along those lines. So, and
Hmm.
then uh, I want to be a music video DJ and a music DJ. That's kind of one of my kind of things I wanted to do. So my business, my podcast actually came through as a failure. It was really, really strange how this worked out. So let me explain. When I wanted to start my entrepreneur adventure, I wanted to be a music DJ. So I thought this was a great idea, but I had no money, no equipment, no microphones, absolutely nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
what I decided to do is like, okay, I'm going to open a GoFundMe page and everybody's going to give me money. And that did not
Right.
happen. I only think I made a couple $100s in a couple months, and I'm sure that was my mom throwing in a couple dollars to help me out. So I felt a little bit better about myself.
Thank goodness for
So
moms.
right, exactly. So I was like, okay, most people would throw their hands up in the air and said, it wasn't meant to be. I'm just not going to do it. But instead of doing that, I thought, okay, why didn't it work? Why did this not work for me? What can I do? What steps can I take to make this successful? So I don't read my books. I listen to my books, just so you know, because reading puts me to sleep. So I heard in a book that a good way to gather an audience was to start a podcast. I was like, okay, cool. I love podcasts. Let's see what that's about. So after diving into podcasting, I realized I love podcasting so much. I kind of like put the music DJ thing aside for a while and started helping new entrepreneurs in their start of their entrepreneur adventure, because that's where I was. That's exactly where I was. And I mean, it doesn't get any better than being in the same boat as other people and learning from each other. Hey, what was your experience in doing this? Oh yeah, I just went through that same thing. It doesn't get much better than that. So 3 years of that has put me where I am today, where I'm actually narrowed things down to the 4 pillars of stop, and now we go from there. And I've been doing coaching, I've been doing editing for other podcasts. It's been such a great adventure for me.
Yes, and you do such a great job with that. You actually edited one of mine. It was really well done.
Oh,
It's really great. Y'all need to check him out if you need video editing. We'll put the link. We'll put the link for you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. So could you tell us more about business, how you help? So you talked about how you help people get across the start line. Could you tell us more about your business coaching, like how you support, like do you do one-on-one or is it group, or how does that work?
Right now it's one-on-one because I'm still kind of feeling out what I like the best. So I
Mm-hmm.
started with one-on-one coaching, and I just feel like having that connection with a single person and helping them understand the problems that they're coming across and asking them questions about how they would do it has really been the biggest thing for me. Um, it's been very interesting, really, because I'm gone from talking to basically, people on the podcast talking to just one person. But when I see the light flicker in their eye and they get that aha moment, my heart just goes boom, because I love being able to see that and know I was actually a part of that. So I help people basically brainstorm ideas to help them get across the start line. A lot of the people that I talk to are literally just starting out and want to know what I know.
Hmm.
So I kind of give them a couple ideas, and this is what I've experienced so far. And a lot of times, like, I've never thought of that, or yeah, I could do that, or that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of goes from there. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about those 4 pillars of stop. What's actually stopping them? Is it the imposter syndrome? Do they feel like they're not worthy? Do they feel that, like, who am I to be able to do this? Is it perfectionism?
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for that perfect time to actually happen, for the planets to align and everything else. Do we really need all that to actually happen to start something? No, we
Mm-hmm.
really don't. You could read a book, you could talk to a person, anything to just keep those juices flowing in your head. Uh, Failure, we all fear failure, and that's why those two
Yes.
always go a long time. So what do you feel like when you've been failing in? Why do you feel that failure? Is there a way we can work together to overcome that failure so we can get across the start line, move on to the next thing? And then I help them stay accountable for those goals that they make from themselves so they can get across the start line and realize that if they need to report back to me and say yes I did or no I didn't, it kind of keeps them aligned with what they want to accomplish. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I kind of think about when I help other people, when I go one-on-one.
Are you interested in starting and building your therapy private practice, or growing beyond a therapy private practice and diversifying your income? My courses on starting a therapy private practice and diversifying income are 50% off for paid subscribers to my blog. Check out my post called Paid Subscriber Benefits on Substack at drbriannawilley.substack.com.
Are you an executive or team leader in the Roanoke Valley, Virginia area? Hi, my name's Elizabeth Walker. I'm inviting you to a special one-day only event at the downtown Jefferson Center here in Roanoke, Virginia, a leadership and comedy experience called The Power of Laughter Masterclass with Clayton Fletcher, author and stand-up comedian. Visit the QR code in the ad and visit walkerconsultingworkshops.com. Early bird pricing now through September 30th. Don't miss out.
Yeah, I like that. You have a format, you go back to those four pillars, you help keep people stay accountable to what they're working on. And it sounds like they choose the goals. You're supporting them along the way and growing together too. You talked about that earlier. Could you tell us too, because I remember in our at my episode with you on your podcast, I think we talked a bit about stress in business. And those four pillars sound like they are part of that. Perfectionism could be a form of stress too. The imposter syndrome feelings. Could you tell us how maybe you've managed stress in your own business or helped others manage stress? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Okay, so yeah, stress. Oh boy, the stress. Okay, so just to kind of give you a little more history about me, I do work two full-time jobs on top of podcasting, on top of coaching, on top of editing, on top of family.
Wow, that's a
So
lot.
yeah, that's a lot. But being able to manage the stress that comes along with all those responsibilities, it can be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times what I'll do is boundaries are a really big part of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to manage those boundaries of this is when I'm doing this, this is what's happening. Don't bother me doing this, or having those set times to be able to accomplish what I could accomplish will lessen. They won't get rid of the stress, but it will lessen the impact of the stress because this is the time I'm doing this. This is the time I'm doing this. And then while this is happening, this is what I'm concentrating on. So boundaries have been a big way for me to manage the stress of all these things that are going on. Mindfulness of self. Don't
Mm.
forget about yourself and that's going on. If you can't be good for yourself, you're not going to be good for everybody else. That's just how it is. And
Ooh.
so,
Ooh, can you say that again? If you
well, I hope
are,
I can remember. If you're not good for yourself, you're not going to be good for anybody else.
ooh,
So take care of yourself. Find a couple of minutes where you can sit down and just be yourself. Meditate. That's a big one for me too. Listening to a specific type of music before you start something helps me de-stress a little bit. If you have the song, that's your song. Listen to that song as much as you can because that'll help those endorphins going and reduce that stress.
yep.
Everybody has a different way of managing stress. That's just how I do it for me.
That's good. Yeah, I like similar things. Yoga, yes, music too. And you're right, it's unique for each of us. We have to find our own self-care path, basically. We could hear all the things from all the gurus on how to, manage stress, but we got to find our own path. Yep.
Exactly. I can't do yoga just because I'm about as flexible as this brick. So I had to do something else. Yeah.
Yeah. So meditation, mindfulness, that's awesome. I like it. So, yes, stress is a big part, I think, of entrepreneurship. But as there's stress with anything, we can manage it. It can be a little stress is actually good for us too, I think, to push us forward. It's how we hone it, though. And it
Well,
sounds like
it's
you do that.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
what we do with that stress and that situation is what makes us who we are.
Mm,
So, I mean, we could take that stress, manage it, or we could not manage it and it turn into a very negative thing. So it's really
hmm
up to you as a person what you do with it, with the information of the stress, whether you use it to push yourself forward, to make it a driving force for yourself, or you
Ooh.
go the other way with it. You go to a darker place with it, and then you start throwing your hands up in the air, and that's where things start going bad, where you start giving up on things, and it just goes from there. So it could go one way or the
Mm,
other. But I've found that managing the stress and kind of keeping up with it and figuring out how to set those boundaries is what I've actually been doing for myself.
yes, boundaries are essential. Time boundaries, self-care boundaries, just boundaries in many ways. And those are unique too, I think, to each of us. Could you tell us a little bit more about your podcast?
Sure. So, Undiscovered Entrepreneur, getting across the start line, has been amazing for me to actually even do. Mainly, we talk to brand new entrepreneurs that are just getting started in their entrepreneur adventure. And I just recently rebranded into the 4 pillars of stop in my podcast. So now we're actually getting more honed in experience of the things that actually make us stop from getting across the
Mm.
start line in our businesses. We do talk to experienced entrepreneurs every once in a while too, but my main focus is on new entrepreneurs to give them an opportunity to get onto a platform without having to be a 6-figure, 7-figure business, without having to have 10 years of experience behind them or anything like that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
that I want to give these people an opportunity that I never got when I was first starting. So
Ooh.
that's really what it turned out to be for me, is to help other people get onto a platform and that most other people won't take them seriously, but I will.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at your site and I've seen this
Oh,
a couple times. The little bot guy. I haven't had a chance to watch them. What
oh,
could you tell us about that? I love that because that's nerdy and cool.
so we'll go ahead and get into that. Okay, so that's Pi. His
Hi.
name is
Okay.
Pi. Okay, and I have a little offshoot podcast that I do, business conversations with Pi, where the questions are real, but the voices are AI, including mine.
Oh.
So basically, what I do is I talk to an AI about different aspects of business and the most recent ways to be able to do whatever it is that we talk about, whether it be setting up a lead magnet for your business, or talking about imposter syndrome or anything like that. And I think that's a great way to be able to have a basically all of the internet into one person that I could sit there and actually have a conversation about, not have to go through all the blah blah blah, but just get the answer. Nothing wrong with blah blah blah. We're all here for blah blah blah, y'all. Okay. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to skip that part and get really right down to the basics, nitty gritty of this particular subject that you want to talk about, and that doesn't in about 10 minutes.
Oh, neat. So what is Pi? Is that something you
So
built or I
no,
don't even know.
I well, funny enough, Pi, the robot there himself, is actually an AI projection. Pi
Oh.
is an AI that I basically built to be a podcast guest. So it's basically an AI
Oh.
built podcast guest to be able to talk about different aspects of business.
Huh. I love that. I really do. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I was talking with some colleagues about AI, and I think at first we were kind of terrified of it because of the movies Terminator and all that good stuff. But we ultimately decided that it can be used for good, mostly AI. But we have to, I think one of my colleagues said she was talking to another person or maybe listening to another podcast, but they talked about we need to train AI to be good. And we're going to go into this more, but that just reminds me of that conversation. So
Well,
you are using it for good.
yes, I certainly hope so. I'm not,
Oh, yeah.
taking down anything, but the thing is about AI, and yes, it's a fear because it's new. We all feared social media. Well, I did anyway, when it first came out, because that's how old I am. Uh, and we didn't know what it was
Me
going to do.
too.
So yeah, right. So we feared it. We didn't know what was going to happen, and that actually goes into a lot of the fears that we talk about: the fear of the unknown, the fear of, we
Mm,
talked about this actually, the fear of
hmm
what's going to happen next when this moves on. But I feel that if we use AI as a tool more than anything else and train it as a tool, then that's what it'll be. It's just a tool. I use it
mm,
for a lot of my podcasting. I use it for a lot of answering questions that I don't know the answer to, that I'd like to figure out, how it goes. I
hmm
use it in my editing. I use it. So I think as a tool would be great, as long as we keep it that way, as just an extra. An artist will use a paintbrush. I use AI.
hmm Yeah, I like that. Using it as a tool, not it doesn't take over things. We're utilizing it. Just like, I don't know, things like Canva, which has AI in it too, but it's a tool. hmm
Exactly. A lot of there's not a whole lot out there that does not have some sort of AI thing in it. A lot of AI was already in our systems before it blew up. Look at a lot of if you go like to a help desk or something like that online, like a website, and it's a help website, a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
first questions you ask are actually handled by an AI bot. Before this whole AI thing blew up and became what it is now. We've been dealing with
Yes.
AI for years. It's just different now.
Some are better than others, though. I
Yeah.
just dealt with that. One kept sending me in a circle for like minutes, and I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I need a person.
Yeah. We're hitting zero
Anyway,
as much as I can so I can get to a human being here. But yeah.
human, human. Sorry, a little sci-fi thing. Anyway,
No, I got it. Yes.
is there anything else you want to tell us about your business or things you're working on?
Okay, things I'm working on right now. I'm going to be doing some speaking. I'm going to be doing some speaking here coming up real soon. First, we're going to start on probably Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives and things like that, just to kind of get my feet wet. And I'm
Good.
going to be doing it on a stage where staying at right now. They actually have a stage that they've made available to me. And one of my jobs is at a hospital, and the hospital actually has a stage that I'm hoping, got my fingers crossed, they're going to agree to let me speak on. So a lot of that
Cool.
I'm going to be recording or doing live. And then eventually what I'd like to be doing is more engaging, like TED Talks and things along those lines. So those are some of my goals for what I really want this to come out.
Neat.
What else? I'm going to be putting together a course on how to get over the 4 pillars of stop.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm actually working on right now as well. And I'm also working on a course on how to start a business.
Ooh.
Just
Mm-hmm.
just the basic steps so you can get going, so you can get across the start line.
Good. Wow, that's so awesome. I
Yes.
love that. You're a busy bee.
I just feel like if I stop, I won't start again. So I just kind of keep going. So
Working that in, working,
yeah.
stopping. I love it. Let's see. Anything else that you can think of that we need to know about you, your business?
Just, if you are interested about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, you could always look me up. If you wanted some coaching, doing it today coaching at gmail.com is a good place to get a hold of me there. My website, tuepodcast.net, not com, net, because I couldn't afford it. And
I hear that.
yeah. And if you want to see all my social medias, my YouTube, all that, you can find it on Linktree /DJ Skoob. I haven't changed that yet. DJ Skoob. So it's Linktree
hmm
/DJ Skoob.
Okay, great. That was my last question. How do people follow you and connect
Oh, I
with
beat you
you?
to it. I'm
So,
sorry. Yes.
no, you're great. That's how things go. That's why I have the questions in case I forget something, but often people just answer the questions, so I don't even have to ask half of them.
Right.
So I love that. It's
That's
great.
fantastic.
All right. So thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for all you do to help business owners get started and keep their businesses going. And thank you for listening, business nerds. See you next time. All right.